We are back from Germany, back on the blue couch, back in Try's chair.
Yep, thanks, Try.
This is, it's almost a Kyle Friend chair at this point. Welcome to SANDCAST, fam.
It is very nice to be here. I don't want to take away Try's chair just yet, but it is nice. It's still warm.
We're back on Beach Access,
Yes, we are.
AVP edition. So these ones live on the SANDCAST channels. If you missed any of our coverage from Hamburg, you can find those on the Beach Volleyball World channels, and then we're going to be going back there in October for João Pessoa, and then again in November in Rio de Janeiro, and then one more time in Doha. But until then, we're here.
We're here.
We're in the studio.
We're going to talk AVP, and we're back. And, just when you thought you were sick of hearing us talk about volleyball, we're back for more.
We're back. And actually, that's something that I wanted, before we get into it, wanted to address real quick. So we've had a number of comments from viewers and listeners asking why you're not playing anymore.
Oh.
And I've mentioned that I've just stolen you.
Sure. Yeah.
Tim's out.
Trim the fat. Briefly, a big part of the reason is this job opportunity with Volleyball World, something that we're going to be doing together. There was a conflict early on with Chicago and Elite16 in Montreal, which put a bit of a wrench in the works for my season plan with Tim. And, I couldn't do Chicago. New boss Volleyball World was like, hey, I really need you there for Montreal. I said, no problem. I want to do that. Hey, Tim, we didn't have the best finish in Huntington. We only took a 13th. So I was like, hey, you need to find someone for Manhattan and Chicago to try and make it into the league. Fast forward, that happened. He picked up Jake Dietrich. A month and a half later, Montreal gets canceled. Tough. A little bit of a break. And I just wasn't ready to commit and jump back in, as him and Jake had already committed time and weeks of training together. And I just felt like I was going to give Tim the best chance to make the league because I'd been out of the game. And the switch had been switched off for about a month and a half.
Hard to switch back on.
It was hard to switch back on. It was a quick turnaround. I would only had like a week or two to get ready for Virginia. And I was like, you need to go and play with Jake to give you yourself the best chance to do it. And for me, my goal this year was to kind of finish out the year with Tim and try to hit everything that we could, squeeze it all out. And then I was going to really reevaluate my plan for next year. But when this job opportunity came, I just couldn't pass it up. Mentally, I was in a good place. I had given a lot to beach volleyball, and it was time to give a different, look to beach volleyball. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for this new gig, and I get to stay in the volleyball world. I get to travel with Travis, and we get to talk volley. And I'm in a really great place. I'm happy. I'm happy we get to do this. So, yeah, that's kind of
And you're putting the coach hat on in Chicago.
And we're getting some coaching reps in, which is great, which was kind of a nice surprise. Really wasn't part of my original plan to step into some coaching gigs, but then Tim and Jake were looking for someone. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to work with you guys. And I did work with them for about a month before Manhattan. We took a 9th. We got a good finish, beating Tim and Troy. And then in Chicago, I'm get to work with Lexi and Deanna. So it's great. It's super fun. I love the sport. I enjoy coaching. It's tough at the top level with the pros. As you know, the pros, we don't have a lot of money. We've been pros for a long time. It's hard. So it's nice to give back and see the other side of the game a little bit. And I enjoy it. It's very fulfilling. Really.
And I think this makes you better at coaching, and coaching makes you better at this.
I agree.
I think.
Yeah, I agree. And so that's why I'm going to FSU.
That's it. Go Knowles. Come on.
Yes.
So this is our Chicago preview.
Yep.
And then we're going to do just like we did in Manhattan. So we'll have a recap on the sand down there at Oak Street Beach, and our preview is here in the SANDCAST studios. If you're not watching, we're just hanging out in Hermosa right now. I'm on a flight at 5:30 Thursday morning, and then you're out. What time are you out?
6 a.m. tomorrow.
6 a.m.? All right, we'll be LAX bright and early.
You can't stop. It's our
Who's
second
flying?
home. United.
United. Okay.
Yeah.
Delta, baby. I'm
Delta.
back.
Yeah, we're working on that. Gonna make a big United guy.
So Chicago. So the league has been murky and ambiguous at best, and finally the players have been given some more detail on what it looks like. I think the public is still somewhat left in the dark, except there is a schedule online now with what the AVP League looks like, where it's being played. UCLA Tennis Center, September 14th, 15th. Hard Rock Tennis Center in Miami the next weekend. All these are just right after the other. Back to San Diego in Viejas Arena. Then to Austin, Texas, HEB Center at Cedar Park. Then to Palm Beach, Delray Beach Tennis Center. Oceanside, California, Front Wave Arena. Anaheim at the Honda Center. Greatest car maker in the world, Honda Civic. Come on. Then we go to Dallas, Texas at the Comerica Center, and then the championships are at Dignity Health Sports Park in Los Angeles. So what does that mean? So there's 8 league teams, and each league gets 1 male team and 1 female team. So your top 8 sort of make the league. You have the winners of Huntington, Manhattan, Chicago, all guaranteed spots. So Melissa Humana Paredes, guaranteed a spot. Her and Brandy Wilkerson, Kristen Nuss, Taryn Cloth, they are guaranteed in the league for winning Huntington and Manhattan, respectively. On the men's side, you have the Tays, Taylor Crabb, Taylor Sander, they won Huntington, and then Trevor Crabb and Theo Bruner, they won Manhattan. So they are guaranteed spots, which means that there are still 6 spots remaining. And I'm just going to give everyone a brief rundown. Going through the spreadsheet, we'll start with the women. So there is a 3rd spot guaranteed for the Chicago champ. If Kristen and Taryn win or Mel and Brandy win, that means that the remaining 6 spots will then trickle down into points. So the spot reserved for the Chicago champ will be taken out, and it's just going to go to points. Just very similar to the way that the Olympics work. If someone were country quoted out, it would just go to the next team down. So that said, Betsy Flint and Julia Scholes, I have them as a lock. They have 4,765 points. They might be mathematically guaranteed. Kelly Chang, Sarah Hughes, I have them also as a lock, 4,642 points. This is where it starts to get interesting. So I'm personally earmarking a wild card spot for April Ross and Alix Klineman. If I were the AVP, it's not even a question.
Yeah.
I'm wildcarding them in. They're not playing Chicago. I believe Alix is getting married.
Alex just got married.
Just got married.
Congratulations to Alex and Teddy. They just got married in Italy. It's a beautiful, looked like a beautiful wedding.
I'm sure
Following along on Instagram. But like you said, there are 2 wildcard spots available for each gender. If you were going to give any wildcards to any teams, men's or women's, it would be April and Alix.
Have to be.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just points, right?
Yep.
And then maybe they, who knows, maybe they decide Phil maybe gets a wild card with Avery. I think it's a stretch, but more so Alix and April.
I think one team gets a wild card.
Yeah.
I think that's April and Alix. And clarification as well, use your 2 out of 3 best finishes.
Yep.
So it's not a total aggregate of your 3. So with all that said, I think the women are basically competing for 2 spots.
Yeah, it's tough.
So you have Tony Rodriguez and Gina Urango at 4,212. That's an average finish of 2,106. So I think that they are pretty safe. And they need to get, if they get a 5th or better, they're going to add points. So if they get a 5th, I think it's done. It's locked, which means we're competing for 1 spot. So what's next? We got Therese Cann and Megan Kraft, 4,190 points. Right behind them, you have 2 teams at 1,993 average, so 3,986. That is Kylie DeBerg and Haley Harwood. They are tied with Savvy Simo and Abby Van Winkle. Both of them, if they get a 5th or better, would pass Therese and Meg. That said, if Therese and Meg get better than a 5th, they then add points. So I think that Therese and Meg, if they get a 3rd, I think it's over.
Yeah.
Now, we have a couple other teams down the list who are mathematically in. Your girls, Lexi Denenberg, Deanna Kraft. They have 3,881 points. They need a 3rd or better. Kim Hildreth, Tegan Van Gunst need a 3rd or better. Devin Newberry, Jaden Whitmarsh need a 3rd or better. And all these 3rds, everything I'm doing is, will that pass a 2,095 point average? So if all these 3rds and whatever or better, that would then pass 2,095, which is where Therese and Meg sit, and that would then put them into the top 8. Provided that no one above them also jumped.
Also jumps.
So all these are just in a vacuum.
Yep.
Where if Savvy and Abby make the finals, then obviously that changes what everyone else needs.
Definitely.
Then you have Brooke Bauer and Megan Rice, last team who's not mathematically out of it. They need to win. That's
tough. It's hard. And like you said, it's in a vacuum. We're not really sure what's going to happen in Chicago. And it's tough. You got April and Alix given the wild card, and these teams are fighting, for maybe 1 spot, which is difficult. It's very difficult.
But I will say, it adds a level of intrigue to matches that not that many people would previously care about.
Correct.
Where you're going to have some 7th place matches in the Contenders Bracket that are very interesting.
Yeah.
Where I think the most interesting day of the tournament is actually going to be Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, when teams are fighting for these league spots.
Yeah.
And the first round matchups, Kyle, we got some fun ones.
They're good.
I think that for Huntington, we did a section, get your popcorn ready. Popcorn's ready for your girls versus Savvy Simo and Abby Van Winkle. That is a big one.
That's a big one. 9 versus 8. I've been watching some film with Lexi and Dee, and obviously Lexi played with Savvy and Abby at UCLA, so there's a lot of history amongst those teams. The challenge is Savvy and Abby have been playing really darn good volleyball. They just beat Kelly and Sarah in Manhattan Beach, and they're trending. Lexi and Deanna just played 2 futures, winning one of those in Belgium, and I think maybe taking a 5th in the second one. And so they're getting better. It's a new partnership. So a lot of question marks in terms of what they're capable of, but a good sign for them that they're playing internationally, getting some of those reps, seeing some really good teams over there. They're going to have their hands full. I mean, the challenge is whoever wins that game, they run into Taryn and Kristen. Probably Taryn and Kristen are going to win that second round. And so that seems to be the trend for a lot of these teams. First round, important to make that second round, but the question is, can one of these teams that win this first round sneak a win?
That's the biggie.
In that second round game. And so that is hard. Usually you're going to have 1 or 2 upsets in the tournament, and maybe the 1 or 2 upsets is going to be the big one, because you win that second game, where do you go? You're already to 5th.
Right.
And boom, that is what a lot of these teams need, is already that 5th place.
Then you get 2 cracks at that semifinal.
2 cracks at semifinal. I mean, most teams need a 3rd, actually. Let me correct that. Most teams need a 3rd. And what I think is interesting is at the beginning of the year when we talked about this league, 2 out of 3, okay, you just need to average. You need to be top 8. You just need to average about an 8th.
Right.
That is really not the case. You need to average about a 5th to make it into the league because of how high the points are and how the teams have kind of already stacked. Especially on the women's side, you got maybe a wild card giving to April and Alix.
Yep.
So it's one other team. You're one other spot that's gone. And so, I just need to average like a 7th or an 8th. Not so much.
No.
You need to average a 5th.
And just to be very clear, April and Alix have not been given the wild card yet. We don't know it.
Yeah.
I'm just operating under that assumption, and I think that all of the women also should be, who are battling for these spots. So, and Therese and Meg are currently holding on to that last spot, and their average is a 5th. So your average to qualify is probably going to be about a 3rd or 4th.
Or a 4th.
Is what you're going to have to average to qualify for the league.
It's even more. And so looking down the list of some first round matchups, another tough one, 7 versus 10. Kylie and Haley taking on Tegan and Kim later on 10 a.m. 7 versus 10. If I was a betting man, I would say Kylie and Haley should win that game. Tegan and Kim, though, they've been playing very good volleyball. They qualified for Vienna, Elite16. They've been around the world and playing a long time together. They have great small ball. They're both great hand setters. Mm-hmm. They know how to win, I would say. So,
and I think that Kim those 2 teams could not have any different styles of play.
Sure.
You talk about 2 defenders who couldn't be more different on their polar axis. You got Haley Harward, just so explosive, dominates the weight room, and then you got Kim Hildreth, who's just super ball control, will just carve you up and shoot.
Yep.
And then you got Tegan, who's super ball control-y, like really savvy, good with her hands, good pulling, and then Kylie is, just a big player at the net.
Yeah.
So 2 very different teams, very different styles. Interesting matchup just on paper because it's just so different. And I'd probably go Kim and Tegan.
Kim and Tegan. I like it. Hey, we got to
Underrated.
Very underrated. And I know if you're a women's team and you see Kim and Tegan, you're not super thrilled about that matchup.
No, they're annoying.
They're very annoying. That's a credit. We love Kim and Tegan.
It's a compliment.
It's a compliment. But you're damn good, right? And teams don't want to play against you because they have to outsmart you, because I think that their IQ and ball control is very, very high. And I think that they can game plan really well, and they have all the shots in the book. Tegan is big enough and physical enough to compete with the big blockers, but also has the touch of a smaller player, a more controlled player. So I like it. I'm going to go with Kylie and Haley.
Okay.
You're going to go Tim and
Isn't that tough?
It's tough.
Tim and Hegan.
Golly. It won't be the first time, not the last.
All right, so Kyle, I'm going to ask who are your 8 teams to make the league on the women's side?
All right, so I think those teams near the bottom that sneak into that one spot, I think that Gina, well, like I said, you got winners, Mel and Brandy. You got
Kristen and
Taryn. You got Sarah and Kelly. And you got
Betsy Julia.
Betsy Julia are in.
I think mathematically pretty much
Yep.
you can't be passed.
Can't be passed. So then that fifth team, I have Megan T.
Okay.
making that fifth spot. Then you got April and Al. Not yet.
Probably wild card.
Yeah, let's not say them yet. I have Gina and Tony.
Gina Tony as your 6.
As my 6. And then I have Kylie and Haley.
Kylie and Haley, that's your 7.
Yep. And then the last team.
If there's no wild card.
Yeah, my last team is going to be Sav and
Ab.
Yeah.
Sabby Van Wemo.
Savvy Van Simo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are what I got. You have a correction maybe into some of those teams?
You got Mel Brandy, Kristen Taryn, Betsy Julia, Kelly Sarah, Tony Gina, Therese Meg.
Yeah.
I think there will be a wild card.
Yep.
If not, then it'd be Kylie Haley, Savvy Abby.
Kylie Haley, Savvy Abby. So you're taking out. Who did you take out of mine? Gina? No, you kept Gina. So it's the same?
I could one too many teams. I think we'd have the same. With no wild card, we have the same.
Right. You did.
A third or better for Lexi and Deanna is a tall task.
Yeah.
Third or better for Kim and Tegan is a tall task. Third or better for Devin and Jaden, tall task. And a win for Brooke and Megan is monumentally tall.
Savvy Van Wemo, they need
Savvy
a fifth.
Savvy Van Wemo. They need a fifth.
It's doable.
Which is doable.
It's very doable.
They just took a fifth.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, that would be my bet. To get a third with how stacked the women's side is, you got 4 of the best teams in the world, the top 10 teams in the world.
Yeah.
In the main draw. So, good luck.
Good luck.
Okay,
yeah,
so we're aligned.
We're aligned. We're aligned in that.
Look at us go.
And I think that this is, one of the best benefits of the league is that now you got your 9th place matches, your 7th place matches that are a lot of intrigue now.
Right. And
whereas before you're just like, we'll just wait till Sunday, see who makes it out.
No. Chicago, and that's the good thing about Chicago. They're going to come out. Chicago fans are going to come out.
Yeah.
They always do. And there's going to be some extra. And I hope AVP kind of hypes those games up a little bit and provides a little little oomph for the Saturday games.
The McKibbins, who I think are they're running a lot of the AVP social media and media in general. They get it.
They know.
They understand stories, and I think that they'll do a pretty good job hyping it up.
Yeah.
Do you have anything left to add for the women?
No, I'm just excited for the drama.
Yeah. Here for the drums.
I mean, drama on both sides, but the women just love a little extra drama.
Yeah.
Sprinkle a little bit more.
A little chili powder. A little spice on that.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm good on the women.
All right, so for the men, this is what we got on the spreadsheet. Taylor Crabb, Taylor Sander, qualified, 1 Huntington. Trevor Crabb, Theo Bruner, 1 Manhattan. Space reserved for the Chicago champs. Then you got Sean Cook, Cody Caldwell, Billy Allen, Paul Lottman. And here, I think that their 2,095 points, again, a 5th, is what I'm viewing as the cut line. Why? They're in 5th. Why is that the cut line? So you have Andy Benish, Miles Partain. They only have 1 finish. They need a 9th to pass that to average 5th. They're going to do that. Chase Budinger, Miles Evans, they have 2,321 points. They need a 9th to average better than a 5th. They're going to do that, which would move Billy and Paul down to the 7 spot. And I think that, so then you have Allison and Evan Corey. They need a 5th to pass that 2,095 threshold. And I think if they get a 3rd, they're locked in. Tim Baumgren, Troy Field. They have 1 excellent finish. They took a 3rd in Huntington, and then they laid an egg in Manhattan, took a 13th, I believe. And so they're going to drop that. They need a 9th to get them into that 5th of an average territory. 7th is good. 5th is a lock. Phil Dahlhauser, Avery Drost. They're averaging 1,990. So they need a 3rd or better, I think, to put them over the cut line. Hagen Smith, Logan Weber also need a 3rd. Then you have Alvaro and Caleb Queckel. They need to win. Tall task. David Lee, Jakey Rotia, they're not playing. Triborn, Ryan Wilcox, my boys, they need a 3rd. I don't think a wild card will be given on the men's side. That's just, I think the AVP would be unwise to do so. And then you have Kame Shaw, James Shaw, they need to win. Everyone else in the field needs to win.
Yeah. No wild cards. I agree with you. No wild cards on the men's side. So open field, sort of. Open field, more like 3 spots available. Like
Pretty much.
Pretty much 3 spots
and I think the men's side is way less top heavy because I think that, Taylor Crabb, Taylor Sander lost first round to DJ and Leela last year.
That's correct.
And Trevor and Theo are far from invincible. I know that they won Manhattan and played great. I know Trevor's guaranteeing another one in Chicago, but could lose.
Yeah.
Could lose. Phil and Avery could lose. I think that Andy and Miles are really the only team who won't. There's no chance of an upset, pretty much.
No, I agree. I kind of feel like Chase and Miles as well.
In that territory?
Yeah. I think only because they had a loss, they got pushed a little bit in Manhattan. So I believe, or I would imagine that coming into Chicago, there's maybe a little extra focus on their side to like, hey, let's be good here. Let's just solidify our spot in this league. And if I was a betting man, I'm going to say that them and Andy and Miles, they're going to be a lock along with the Tays and Theo. So that's 4 teams right there. And then Sean and Cody are pretty much...
They're pretty... Mathematically, I think
good.
They're in.
Right. And so that's 5 teams. So you're looking at 6, 7, and 8 for a couple spots here.
6, 7, and 8 I have between Billy and Paul.
Yep.
Alison and Evan. Tim and Troy. Phil and Avery.
Yeah.
And Hagen Logan. Hagen Logan are not out of it.
Right. They're in the
third
same
place
spot.
is doable for them.
Yeah, they're in the same spot as kind of Phil and Avery. Right?
Yep.
We said that Phil and Avery also need a third.
Which is doable.
It's doable.
Yeah, they need a third.
It's hard, but it's doable.
Yeah. It's interesting. And that makes a lot of these first round matchups really interesting.
Yes.
Get your popcorn ready. Again, the 8-9, Alison, Evan versus Tim and Troy. Where if Tim and Troy win that, basically in the league. If they lose that, got to win one, in which they would probably play Diego Perez and Ryan Arena. You're going to be favored to win that,
Sure.
but Diego and Ryan, young team, not much is known about them.
They're athletic.
Can beat pretty much anyone.
They're good.
So that first one is very important for Evan and Alison and Troy and Tim. And then you have the next biggest matchup. You got Hagen and Logan, who need a third, against Phil Dahlhauser, Avery Drost, who need a third.
And so for that matchup, I would say for 9 and 8, Evan versus Tim and Troy.
Yep.
I have Evan and Alson winning that game. And then again, on the other side, like you said, Logan and Hagen versus Phil. First game. Here's the problem also with first match, Phil. Maybe he's not ready to go just yet. I never want to bet against Phil.
The good news is it's an 11 a.m. match, not the 8 a.m. dinger.
That's good. That's better. That's better for Phil.
But Friday Phil's different than Sunday Phil.
Friday Phil's different.
Different animal.
Yes, that's correct. I still am going to take Phil and Avery in that match there. So the loser of that match will play probably Brian Miller and Wyatt Harrison. Not an easy game, as they had a pretty good run in Manhattan Beach, and they took down...
They took down Cayman James.
They took down Cayman James. So important...
Almost beat Try and Wilcox.
Important first-round game. It's like, hey, you don't get this first one. You got to be ready to go for that second one, or your league chances are poof.
Yep.
The poof are gone. So, fascinating. Any other big first rounds? Well, Billy and Paul versus you guys.
Billy and Paul versus Try and Ryan's a big one. Really big for both teams, because Try and Wilcox need a big run.
Yep.
You're going to have to win.
Tough.
They're going to have to win, I think, 4 matches in Chicago to qualify for the league, which is doable. They beat Chase and Miles and did it handily. Billy and Paul, if they just get another 5th, or if they can get into that 3rd, which they can do. They played great in Manhattan. They took a 5th in Huntington, took a 5th in Manhattan.
Yep.
Consistent team. That's going to be I'm stressed already for that match.
I'd be stressed too. They looked good. They played a lot of volleyball in Manhattan, and it seemed like they got better and better. Paul led the tournament in blocks per set or blocks per match, whatever it was. I hate to say this, but Paul has just gotten better and better as the more he's played.
Dad strength. That dad strength is straight
I guess
to the
when you
veins
pop
right
out your
there.
4th kid, you just get better. I don't know. And he's not like he's playing all the time. He'd be the first one to tell you that. It doesn't matter. He's touched enough volleyballs in his lifetime that he has begun to figure it out. on the court. Right?
He's got that Tim Baumgren touch now.
For sure.
Tim's like, yeah, well, I pepper with Brody twice a year. Come out and take a third in Huntington. Sure.
Seriously. So yeah, I'm a little stressed for your boys.
Yep.
To be quite frank, because Billy just always gets it done, always in the top of the tournament in digs. Not the fastest guy, not the most athletic guy out there.
Doesn't hit balls out of bounds.
Doesn't hit a ball
so
out of bounds.
smart.
Smarter than you, smarter than me. It's just gets it.
You have to beat Billy.
Right.
Billy won't beat himself.
Correct. So yeah, that's going to be a tough one. First round for your boys there.
Little noon match for the boys. Big one.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
And so for the men,
Yeah.
who are our 8 teams to make the league? Taylor's already in. Trev, Theo already in.
Yeah. So Taylor's, Theo, like you said. Sean and Cody.
Yep.
Okay. There's 3. Andy and Miles. Chase and Miles.
There's 5.
I have Evan and Alison.
Okay.
I'm going to take them. I got Tim and Troy.
Okay.
Also going to not sneak in, but just make it in.
All right. Who's the 8th?
And that last team, yeah, I am going with Phil.
Oh, Phil's passing Billy and Lottie.
Oh, shoot. I forgot about Phil and Lottie. Billy and Paul. Oh, yeah. Ooh, wait. Let me reel. I forgot. I was like, I think I'm missing someone. I'm just giving Evan and Tim and Troy an advance because Billy and Paul are ahead of both of them, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let me run that back.
Yep, run it back.
Yeah. Let me just pivot here and say that I'm going to add Paul and Billy.
Okay.
They're going to make it in.
And Phil and Avery will not.
I'm going to say Phil and Avery are not going to make it in. Yeah. Because they need a third.
Need a third.
That's just hard, right? With all these teams, I in my mind, I have the Taylors and Theo, Andy Miles, Chase and Miles locking up the semifinals, which means nobody gets a third. So all those teams that need a third, they're going to have, one of those teams is really going to have to mess up big time. And I just don't foresee it happening in Chicago. So if you need a third, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. So yeah, no Phil, add Paul, my boy Paul.
We're aligned in our men's predictions.
Are we?
Taze, Trev Theo, Sean Cody, Andy Miles, Chase Miles,
Evan, Tim and Troy.
Evan, Tim and Troy,
Paul
and Billy.
Man,
I think that's what's going on. Actually, you know what?
Oh, I like it. Let's disagree. Come on.
Put my boys in third.
Ooh.
Try Bourne and Big Cox.
Shameless plug.
They're in there. We're taking a third, boys.
It's possible. It's
Very possible.
What's your route? Let's look.
We got to beat Billy and Paul.
Okay.
If we don't, we will likely play Jordan Hoppy and Big Dave Wyzorek. If we beat Billy and Paul, we play Andy and Miles. Let's say we go down to Contenders.
Yep.
Number 21.
21, yeah.
In which we would play. Let me see who goes down there.
I'm looking at the main draw. I can tell you who moves.
Contender 20. Where's the other Contender 21?
It would be someone coming from the first round loss.
Oh, okay.
Right?
You're right.
So
either way, I'm taking us from Contender 21. We're running it to the semis.
Okay, I like it. Confident.
Yep. So my boys.
Why not? I mean, here's the thing is, for both of our predictions here, that is with no upsets. And
yep,
as we've seen throughout the year, upsets happen. Usually at least one per side. And so we didn't really put a bet. We didn't really factor that into our predictions here. So we might be wrong because there's going to be that one upset. And maybe, just maybe,
the 10 seed.
It's your boys.
The 10 seed.
10's a good number. That's my favorite number.
Cinderella.
Yeah. So maybe that's the one upset on the men's side that elevates your team into the league.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, I hope for you guys too.
Yeah, and again, I think the AVP will probably announce more information as it comes along. Not our place to do it because they sent it to the players. And so we'll let the AVP make the announcements, but the players are going to make a decent chunk of change for the league.
Great.
And then another decent chunk of change if they make the league playoffs. So the top 4 teams from the league will then go to the league championship playoffs. And then if you win that, you can do pretty well. If you win the regular season and you win the championships. The players are going to be all right. So the players are getting treated well for the league, which is cool. So hopefully it goes well.
Yeah.
And I think Chicago will, it's inevitable that Chicago goes well because it's one of the most popular stops on tour for a reason. Players love it. Fans always do a great job. So we will see you guys in Chicago, and then hopefully we'll see you at some of these league spots.
That'd be great. Can't wait. Like I said, the league, it's different. Some people are unhappy. Some people are going to like it. Different is good. Change is healthy. And yeah, maybe it's not going to be perfect this first year, but hopefully we begin to see, residual effects in a benefit. And already people that make the league, they're going to walk away with a couple extra bucks.
Yeah.
And that's kind of all we're looking for in the beach volleyball world.
Yeah. Players making money.
Players making money. Not us, because we're not players. But for all the other players.
Coaching.
We're coaching. Make some money there.
All right, everyone. Kyle, friend, you got anything left to add?
Nope. No,
cool.
I'm excited. Should be fun.
Excited. We will see you guys in Chicago, and then we'll have a recap up Monday morning. And then we'll see you for the Hermosa Open. Everyone come out. It's qualifiers September 4th. That's a Wednesday. I know the dates are funny. They are correct. Main draw is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Stream will be on VBTV if you can't make it out. So international viewers, stoked to have you. Ruben, Peninga, Leon Luini are our men's wild card.
Yeah.
No women's wild card. Didn't have a fully foreign pair ask for it, but we do have some really fun foreign teams coming in. Heather Bansley coming in, playing with Megan Rice. Tina Gradina, Julia Scholes.
Super
getting
cool.
the all-USC blocking team together.
So fun.
So that'll be fun. Coming out of retirement, one last tournament with Andy Benish.
I saw that. Congrats. That'll be really fun. Scooping some balls there.
Scooping.
Running down some high lines.
Yeah, practice for the first time of 2024 today.
Oh, that's great.
Cardio's a little lacking.
Nothing you can't make up. But before we go, I had a question about your shirt. I see this Owen Wilson.
You like this?
I really like that. And I just noticed it now.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've been listening to us on VBTV or anywhere, but Austin's favorite word lately has been wow. Wow.
Yeah. So what's funny is my brother-in-law got me this tank top. So this has Owen Wilson's face, and it says, wow. And my brother-in-law got this for me, and I don't know why, but he just got it for me.
How long ago?
I wore this years.
Years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
I've had this. This is like my Sunday tank top, and I decided that it's so glorious. I had to wear it. But yeah, now it's super fitting because Austin's favorite word is wow.
That's great.
And yeah, so I'm rocking the Owen Wilson wow tank top.
I love it. I just wanted to add that in there before we wrap up.
Important stuff, people.
Very, very.
Yeah, Kyle, friend, I appreciate you.
Love you.
See you in Chicago.
Yes, sir.
Best of luck to your girls.
Thank you. Best of luck to both your teams.
Yeah,
girls and boys.
That's Julia. Let's run it back. Another final.
Hopefully we don't see them when they're sorry. That'd be great. That'd be great.
All right, everyone. See you in Chicago.
Later.